Welcome to Nightlight. Step away from the mainstream and gather around as we enlighten the world and our realities and travel this cosmic journey we call life. Join us as we share with you and provide that beacon that can guide us all to a better way. Explore with us as we examine a metaphysical montage of spiritual insights covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between. This is a time of awakening, of sharing and evolving, of spreading our wings and soaring on the cosmic breath of creation. Come and join with other like-minded spirits as we weave our lights together to seek understanding, enlightenment, and with a little luck, some wisdom. This is Nightlight, a reminder that you are never alone.
Welcome, everybody. So glad you could join me again. This has been one of those exciting times for me where I get to touch in with all of you and see what's going on in your lives and listen to your problems. Much more fun than figuring out mine. And sort of shedding some spiritual light and love and laughter in these times, because let's face it, it is definitely a strange time we're going through. And probably all of you have been feeling an uneasy, a dis-ease, an uneasiness, a feeling of something is coming and I don't know what it is, or something's going on and I can't quite figure it out. And you're not crazy. There is definitely something going on as far as the energy, as far as the cosmic flux that we're going through. And definitely we are going through a time of I almost want it reminds me of whitewater, when a storm is really getting violent and strange. There's whitewater, there are whitecaps in the water, and that's what it feels like society is doing today. And it feels to me as though all of us are a little bit uneasy, because it feels like something's going to break, something's going to happen. And I think you're all right. I think there is something coming. It's not the something evil this way comes, but it is there is a change, there is a shift, there is something that is festering beneath the surface here, and we're all waiting for it to sort of peek its head up so that we can, once you know what a problem is or a difficulty is, you can do something about it. You can focus on it. You have options. You have something physical that you can deal with. But we don't have that yet. Now, I know I do predictions for every month, and I haven't posted July's yet. But prior to that, I kind of want to put a couple of thoughts out on the table for all of you, because there is a lot of stuff going on. First and foremost, there is the sense of newness. There's new beginnings. There's fresh starts. There are new things coming in all of our lives, so that those routines that we thought we had set are no longer appropriate. Those habits that we have gone through on a real regular basis are no longer appropriate. And celebrations are going to change. Now we have 4th of July coming, and while certainly there are going to be fireworks, there is also a sense of uneasiness in that area as well. So please be careful on 4th of July. If you're in a group, make sure it's a group you're familiar with, because it feels to me as though there is undercurrents of undercurrents of unrest, strange way of putting it, but that are going on. And it does feel as though they're going to be erupting after the 4th of July. So that after the 4th of July, we're going to see outbreaks of all sorts of things all over the place. And it's going to be confusing and it's going to be upsetting. So if you hold yourself closer to home, if you hold yourself in a tighter group around you, it's going to be easier for you to deal with what's happening and what's going to be happening. I know that there is a sense of peace being, coming, especially overseas. And I would caution everybody in getting too excited about it, because you cannot force peace. Peace is something that you embrace. It isn't that is forced upon you. If peace is forced upon you, resentment starts to build, and eventually the peace is gone. So unless both sides want peace, we're not going to have it. And so it's a matter of, what are we going to do if this ceasefire stops, and there has to be a reinstitution of hostilities that could easily happen this summer. I know that politics don't mix with religious people who are fighting for something, and on the one hand, you have a religious war. On the other hand, you have a political war, and the two just will not be able to come to a reasonable settlement. In my feelings, in what I'm getting from the atmosphere, peace is something that has to be sought from both sides, or it won't work, or it won't last. So watch all that's going on very carefully. Keep them in your prayers, and keep everybody in your prayers. I think this is a time where prayer, meditation, getting back in touch with our own spirit that's within is a very important thing for us to do. Certainly keeping body, mind, and spirit together is a good way to begin. And start with home, work with the things that you have control over, because a lot of what's going to be going on in the next year or years or decades, we don't have any control over. So we're basically, in many ways, pawns in a game that we have no control over. So, to a certain extent, we have some control, but not quite as much as we would like to. I think that there is a great deal of Phoenix rising energy among all of us. All of us are making massive changes. All of us are letting go of the old and trying to find the new. And sometimes we can't find the new as fast as we'd like. So we're kind of in a mixture of confusion. And did I do the right thing in making changes? And anytime you make a change, it's a good idea. So as far as free readings go, we are definitely looking at excitement here, Gregg and I. And I want you to please pay attention to the fact that if you do have a question in the chat room, to put it in capital letters so that he can read it and then give it to me. Last time we had a lot of stuff going on, and I had forgotten to say that. So he had to sort of sift through a lot of stuff before he got into a flow, so to speak. Hopefully his flow is better tonight. So if you want a reading, enter it in caps. He'll be able to share it with me, and then I will be able to hopefully give you some wonderful wisdom and insight. It's a matter of great excitement when I do this, because I learn from everybody I read. I get information that I hadn't really been aware of. It's an adventure for me. So for anybody that does readings, our greatest source of information comes from the people that sit down in front of us and open themselves up and say, hey, can I have a reading? Or, hey, can you tell me something, amazing about my life? So it's kind of, this is my way of learning. and Greg's too, because he actually has mentioned that he gets something from this as well, which is kind of fun because he was never exposed to stuff like this ever before. So go easy on him, because this is the first time he's played with free readings since the last show anyhow. Gregg, do we have a question?
We do. We have a few. So the first one up is Cindy Plume, I guess. And she said, I would love a reading with a heart symbol.
That's a name I'm familiar with. Okay, Cindy. Let's see what we've got here. It does feel as though you're at a place in time where you're pulling body, mind, spirit together. You're getting ready to make changes, and it does feel as though those changes are just on the brink of beginning to unfold for you. It is a time here where whatever you send out returns to you greatly magnified. So whatever you put out there on the table, whatever you let people know you want, whatever you have to let people know what you want, because you can't expect them to be able to read your mind. So it feels to me as though you have a lot of things that you haven't actually voiced yet. June is the time to start voicing things. June is the time to start putting out there what it is you need. Let people know what you need, what you want, what you expect. And then the chances of you being disappointed are a lot less than they would be if you just sat back and anticipated everyone was a psychic. As you get into the July timeframe, lots of changes coming up here. It looks like a lot of different shifts and changes within yourself, as though you are looking different, feeling different, having different philosophies that are beginning to start to boil up that you're applying to your life. It's going to be really exciting, but it can also, in a lot of ways, confuse people who think you're definitely coming out of the shadows and becoming a person they didn't know you were. You're actually coming out of the shadows and becoming the person that you always have been, but have not let people see. As you hit August, there's a time of continuity, of bringing things together, of weaving things together, so that even though a lot of the projects that you have ongoing are not all in the same direction, they do complement one another, so that there is a greater sense of power that you're going to be feeling. And as you get into September, you've got healing energy and creative energy. Here's where you really need to pull on the creative energy, because spiritually speaking, you have a tremendous amount of energy, of insight, of wisdom, of all sorts of wonderful stuff, but you haven't been manifesting it. And so what you're going to find in September is that you utilize your healing energy, your voice especially, to get a lot of this insight out into the public, to speak your mind, to speak your feelings. And in many ways, there's the element of music here too. So do look for music to kind of start creeping in here. A new balance comes into your life as you get into the October timeframe, and it does feel as though you're getting a greater balance in your life, creating a greater flow of energy, making you feel as though finally everything is going together and moving well. And it will be for a while. It will flow beautifully right up to and through the month of December. November is a time here where you're evolving into a greater understanding of the spiritual journey you're on and the directions that you're going in. And you're more aware of the directions because you're paying attention to coincidences and synchronicities. And they're what are going to tell you when you're right and when you're off track a little bit. And they're going to be the aspects that help you to flow into the December timeframe. December has Phoenix rising energy here. So massive changes to you, massive changes in your life. All good, confusing, but good. And it does feel as though you're letting go of those things that no longer apply to you, that no longer feed you and fuel you, and you're opening yourself up to embrace what is coming next, which looks like it's a rather spectacular year, 2026. There's unity of focus as you get into the January timeframe. You are definitely focused on you're definitely focused on taking care of your own dreams instead of being so involved in taking care of other people's dreams that you forgot your own. It feels to me as though here's where you start to really pay attention of the direction that you need to go in. And it's all about you. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't take care of other people, because you always will. That's who you are. But now you're taking care of your own needs first, and then your overflow is what's hitting the other people, which means that you're giving a greater quality of energy to everyone that you touch and everybody that you're involved with, which was really spectacular. February is a time where you begin to flower. I know in lots of places it's still winter, but you're beginning to flower, and it amazes you, and it amazes people around you. And it means that you're coming into a time of great fruitfulness for yourself, your energy, and the powers that be, so to speak. March is a time where spiritual energy flows unbelievably around you and within you. And it does feel as though spirituality is a focus for you. It's a great focus. I don't want to suggest that you're not spiritual up to that point in time, but I am suggesting that your spiritual journey, while it has begun internally, it peeks out here and there as you go along. It is absolutely beautifully out in the open and flowing as you get into the March timeframe, and as you get into the April timeframe. Here's where you set yourself free. There's a sense here of being able to move in new directions that you thought were close to you that are not. It's a sense of you being able to let go of, this is interesting, to let go of the safety net that has held you back so that you can fly. And don't go doing, leaping tall buildings in a single bounce. It's not quite that bad, or good. But it does feel as though you're free to be the person that you've really wanted to be, the person that you know you were going to become, and allow yourself to have the freedom to stretch your wings. Don't try flying unless it's in an airplane. It does feel as though there is a sense here of you have an understanding and a feeling of what the other side is. You know, and from past lives, the ritualistic things that you've done. You know from past lives the positions you've held that were of a spiritual nature that enabled you to, in many cases, work what could be considered miracles. And this lifetime, that power is here, but it's to be used in a different way. As you move into the May time frame, there's the element of duality of having two new directions you're moving in, almost two places that you might call home. And that will bring you into the June time frame yet again, where it does feel as though you have a magic that you're using that nobody is aware of. And it does feel as though it has to do with manifesting magic for yourself and those around you. I don't see you being put up for sainthood, but I do feel that you can bring your magic into other people's lives and help to enlighten them so that they can find the magic that they carry within. Okay? Hopefully.
All right, great. Next up, we have Jen Lynn. She said, "Hi, Barbara. It's Jen from Connecticut. Nice to see you again."
Cool.
And her question is, anything for my job?
It does feel here, just so you know, I throw cards for everybody that I read. So it takes me a minute to get cards out on the table here. Jen, it's time for a change. It does feel as though it's time for you to move on and forward so that your job, if we're just looking at your job, it feels to me as though you're very good at what you're doing in the area you're in, but I feel expansion here. I feel you moving into new venues. You're just, I know in the past you've held back or felt held back. And it feels like that's where you are now. You're comfortable where you are, but it feels like you need to take steps forward to go beyond what it is you've been doing. You're really good at what you do. Whatever you try, whatever you attempt, whatever you get involved in, you exceed expectations of those around you. But unless you push for new directions, you're going to be stuck where you are. And it's not that it's a bad place. It's just that it feels to me as though you have guidance, you have intuition that leads you in new directions, and you're not able to use it as much as you are able. It kind of, what I'm feeling here is that there is the potential for you being loaned to another agency. And I don't know if that's something that has cropped up yet, but it does feel as though it's something that's coming very soon. I'm not saying you should leave where you are, but I do feel that there is greater potential for you in another department. So look around and see what's open to you, and stretch yourself. Because if you don't have what the physical requirements are, as far as education and stuff like that, you can learn, you can grow. To challenge you intellectually is the best thing in the world, because it means that you grow beyond your own expectations. There's a promotion of some sort here as well, but it feels like you need to let people know you want to move forward, so they may give you a promotion in order to keep you where you are. I'd rather see you move. But, if not this year, next year, you're too good to be held in place. You have too much potential to be held in place. So keep reaching beyond what you think your limits are, and you'll surprise yourself. Okay? Hopefully.
All right, great. We have questions coming in. Cindy came back with some feedback. She said, "Thank you. I always love your reading. So beautiful." So she enjoyed the reading. Next up, we have Michelle Vey from, she's on Facebook. I'll read it and then I'll take it down because it's a large, it's covering up your face a little bit.
That's okay.
Hello, Barbara and Greg. I am working on creating some publications, digital downloads, and other online resources. Could you please give me some insight, guidance, suggestions for me? I'm open to any messages.
Okay.
I'll leave it up for a minute or two, and then I'll
leave it up for a minute. Okay. Online creating applications, digital downloads, and other online sources. Okay. Okay, Michelle. It feels as though there's great potential here for lots of new directions. Publications, digital downloads, and other online resources. It feels to me as though you haven't spread your wings far enough. And it looks as though getting a foundation going where people have something to refer to look at, so they know what it is you're representing, would be a great idea. The central card that I threw for you is the Aquarius card, which would mean it's something new and something different. And if you're replicating something that's out there, it won't go anywhere. If you're doing something very different, it'll draw people like, I'm trying to think of a really clean analogy, and I can't. Flies to inappropriate things. And it just seems to me as though you have the ability to go beyond people's imaginations. And for instance, if you were looking at a field that I know a lot about, which would be metaphysics, everybody has talked about everything in metaphysics to this point in time and not stretched it far enough. There are elements and areas to go into metaphysics and stretching your spirituality that people aren't touching into yet. They're just sort of holding everything back to the same old, which would be meditation, study, and practice. It feels like there's more, and it doesn't feel as though it's been touched into yet. It's, of course, they say there's nothing new under the sun, and quite possibly that's true. But when you get into looking into ancient history and how they dealt with metaphysics, it opens a lot of portals that haven't been around for a long time. If you look at things like UFOs or giants or little people, or even podcasting and publication, you need to really spread yourself in so many different venues that people are able to find a place where they comfortably fit. And it may even come down to ex-teachers that are looking for venues they can get into that they can fit into comfortably. I taught school for 25 years. Now I'm teaching online and I'm teaching spirituality. But lots of teachers won't think about that. They won't think about where can they take their skills and put it in another direction. I would think that anybody who is now retiring has great skills in the field they were in, but don't know how to transition those skills to a different venue for them to work on in retirement. There are millions of places that podcasters can go or authors can go, but normal people, when they retire, don't know what to do with their lives. And yet normal people who retire in their 60s possibly have another 40 years to go. So, where do you take your skills? How do you take your skills? Online schools, I think what gets to me is that with all of this, it's spiritual stuff that needs to be out there for people. And yet I don't really believe in doing classes and stuff like this, but there are probably ways that you can figure this so that people can sponsor what you're doing and they pay the money so you can put the information out there for free. And I would say that because you're talking to a spiritual person, that you do have a spiritual background and foundation. It appears that you do here from my cards. And it does feel as though you have the element of magic and miracles in this month alone. So I would look for a different approach to what you're doing so that it's available to anybody who needs it. And yet you're sponsored by people who are going to help you provide information so that you can be paid for your time, because certainly what you're talking about is going to require a great deal of time, and you should be paid for the time that you put into it. But at the same time, if what you're putting out there is to serve humanity, it shouldn't be paid for. And unfortunately, you go around in circles with this. It feels as though you're working out of home at the moment, but it does feel as though as you get more closely to the new year, you're going to be expanding so that there will be a lot of other people involved. Everybody has great ideas, but you're the kind of person that can put ideas into reality, and you can manifest them in new and unique ways. And I think that's what's missing today. Is it's same old with everything, and not looking for what's new, what's going to taste right to people who have a great deal to share, like Jen. She's got a great career, but she's worth so much more, and she has so much talent and gifts. And and I'm not talking about testing people for where they would be best, possibly helping people discover within themselves where their talents and gifts are. One of the coolest things that people don't realize, and only people who have small children will be able to figure this out. But when we come into an incarnation as a spirit, when we're actually birthed, we have within us knowledge and wisdom of areas that have been gifts and talents and things that we have been able to do on masterful levels in past lifetimes. And they show up. in the things that children get involved in initially when they are very, 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 very young. Now, children who suddenly can play the piano obviously had it from a past life, but all of us brought forward times that we had gifts, that we had talents, where we were experts. And those are the things that we're interested in as we are young children. One of the things I used to love to do when I was really young, my mother had these paper doilies you put under pastries. She would get them and I would paint them meticulously for hours and hours and hours and hours. Fast forward ahead 40 or 50 years, 40 years anyhow. I hand painted personal mandalas for people. There are 500 all around the world. I am not a trained artist. And yet it was from a past life where that skill, that talent, that desire, that focus came from. It went into creating a deck of cards that, are out there, the cosmic deck of initiation. I used to teach my animals. I had school for my animals when I was 4 years old. I became a school teacher. And now I teach here. And when something died, I insisted on funerals, even if it was on the side of the road. I would drive my father crazy because I'd make him stop and we'd have to have a little ceremony on the side of the road. I became an ordained minister. So, my sister sang. And as she got older, she learned to play the guitar. She made a record. I mean, it's those things that children are doing when they're very, very young that give you hints. And if as a parent you support it and you encourage it, it means that those gifts are going to be put into play within the person's lifetime. And those are areas that give them the greatest joy. And those are areas that they can be very successful in applying to their lives. So that's something that nobody studied that I know of yet. But those kind of things are things that people can get involved in, or going back and asking a parent, what did I do when I was 3 and 4, 5? So you have a lot of people around you. It feels as though you're tapping into a lot of different people with different ideas. And you're the kind of person that can take all of these ideas and pull them together and create something very unique and very wonderful. You have past lives in which you have done this. You have been not necessarily the person who had the thoughts, but the person who found the people that had the creative whatever. And you were able to take it all, weave it together, and create something that was wholly new and wholly wonderful and wholly exciting. And everybody benefited from. There's laughter, joy, and celebration here. There's a sense here of, as you hit September, there's whatever you send out returns to you greatly magnified. If a mailing of any sort is going to be done, if outreach of any sort is going to be truly done, do it in September, because your return will be very, very profound. There is healing energy here. There's a lot of work, but it feels as though in past lives, you have resourced unusual sources of people to pull together to create organizations that helped millions. You are someone who, in many ways, is a magnet for people who need someone to sort of organize them or help them to be organized. I hope this helps. And please get back to me and let me know how you've applied all this, because you have the potential for being very, very successful. And the biggest part of the success is that you'll be, you will benefit more richly than you expect, because you're trying to give something away. Okay, hopefully. Okay, Greg.
Okay, well, we got a little bit of feedback. Let's see, Jen gave you some feedback. Thank you so much, Barbara. There's a lot of change going on at work. It'll be exciting to see where I can grow. I will keep you updated. Then, that's nice. And so from last week, Chris was on last week, and he decided to come back and give you a little feedback. So thanks for the reading 2 weeks ago. My career business pursuit has been stagnant for a few years. I want to make progress again. And with that, make changes in my life. So thank you for coming back in. So next up on YouTube is Nancy Ray. And she asks, what do I need to focus on in the next 3 months?
Okay.
That's my question too.
Get in line. Okay, Nancy. You have an interesting energy here. You are pulled together. You are ready to move. You are ready to jump. And it's interesting. I do feel that at this moment in time, you've gone through what I would call an initiation of sorts, a kind of gathering together of all the magic you have within you. And as you hit the July, there's a sense here of abundance coming into you. And I'm going to put a couple of extra cards here because when I say abundance, everybody thinks money. And I think money, but abundance comes in many, many forms. It feels to me as though as you hit the July timeframe, there's a sense here of working harder and longer and doing more research. I feel that for the month of July, you're going to be doing research, you're going to be stretching yourself, you're going to be moving into new elements and areas of wisdom and insight. And it does feel that you are applying yourself in new directions so that by the time you get to September, there is a sense here of being able to make choices that you didn't think you were going to be able to. There's healing energy here, and there's compensation coming to you in the month of August above and beyond what you anticipate. This is not because of someone's death. It's money that you are being compensated. It's money coming as compensation that you don't expect, that comes from an unusual source, so that it feels like where there might have been a worry about money, it doesn't feel as though that is the concern for July, August, and September. It feels as though there is a better flow, there is a better understanding. And I feel you moving into a new direction as far as where you thought you would be aiming your life, your career. I feel you're in a place where you're going to be making major changes. And because of those changes, you're opening up doors for yourself. The research, the insight, the working with wisdom on a higher level in the July timeframe feels as though it opens you up to some of the possibilities you have within you that you haven't been able to access or work with. But it feels to me as though this summer is going to be a time when you are able to open up to those talents and gifts that you have within you, that you have wanted to apply to your life and haven't been able to. It feels as though there's greater strength here, there's greater wisdom here, there's greater insight here. And as you get into the August timeframe, the law of free will is here. I just want to point out that the law of free will, while the will is free, the actions are not. So that if you take, the choices you make where they may not go along with what people thought you were going to do, there will be consequences, but the consequences are going to be what you're willing to pay for the actions that you're taking. So that by the time you hit September, you are going to be making some choices that most people won't see coming. And in the long run will be very beneficial to you. But in the short run, we'll have people wondering if you need to see a shrink, but you don't. Hope that helps. Okay, Greg.
Okay. All right. Michelle came back and said, great information. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
All right. Next up, we have Ellen R. She's on YouTube. And she asked for a general reading for summer 2025, please. Thank you, Barbara.
Just the summer. Aren't we almost done with summer? I mean, it's June. I'm complaining because of the heat, that's all. Okay, summer. Let's see what we've got. I would say that what I'm seeing here is it's really kind of cool. It feels as though you're making major changes. There are changes going on in your life. Internal, not necessarily external, but changes nonetheless. And you've been getting information in dreams and in synchronicities and coincidences. There is definitely the element here of guidance above and beyond your own wisdom. And it does feel as though, for those who believe in angelic help, you've got a guardian angel here. I prefer to look upon it as your spirit within is giving you very good advice through dreams and other ways. And it does feel as though there are many changes. You've been dreaming and wanting changes, and the changes are coming. You've been putting it out there. You've been talking about it. And it does feel as though doors open up for you that you don't expect. And energy flows in new directions, new foundations by the time you get to September. So you're making extreme changes internally. You have magic happening. You have asked for insight and wisdom, and you've gotten it. And you've asked for signs. I used to be one who asked for signs too, and when I got signs, it was not exactly the way I expected them to come. I'm not seeing burning bushes here or flames coming from anything or anything like that. But you're getting signals that things are moving ahead. You're getting signs that things are going to move in your direction. You're getting phone calls and you know who it is. You're getting doors opening that you didn't expect were there. You're getting a lot of good things coming your way. Just understand that it's important to pay ahead too. When somebody gives you a gift that you don't expect, make sure that you're grateful and thankful, and at the same time, you're able to give ahead to someone else at some point in time that they don't expect. You have magic happening here. And it does mean that before the end of the year, there are going to be new beginnings and fresh starts for you. It also means that you didn't ask for that though. Well, I'll give it to you anyhow. A lot of work going on in the January timeframe and in the December timeframe, but there's the element of pregnancy here in January. Don't panic. This is pregnancy of a creative project, pregnancy of a part of you that you've been holding back. This is the birth of a new aspect of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more competent than anyone ever thought you were capable of. It's a magnificent thing. And even though you didn't ask for it, you have to be aware that a lot of the internal work that you're doing is going to allow you to birth a new aspect of yourself in January that will be magical. Okay? Now you're going to have to go back in January and tell us what happened. Okay, Gregg.
Okay, well, I don't know if you noticed, but Ellen made a few comments. She said, wonderful, I'd love an angel near me. And that she's been asking for guidance about change. So that's good. All right, Michelle, let's see. Michelle said, great information. Thank you. And next up, we don't have a name, but we have their YouTube name is Free to Be Me. And their question is, can you tell me what my intuitive abilities are and what I should do with them?
Well, don't play the stock market, that's for sure. What they are. All of us have intuition. All of us are able to develop it. It feels to me as though you have a sense that there is more than just the norm here, and I think you're right. What should I do with them? Well, the intuition, the insight is meant to be applied to your own life. You don't do the stock market and you don't try to gamble with it. Trust me, I have tried that and it doesn't work. However, if you utilize your intuition and your insight to develop your own spiritual gifts that you can use to apply to your reality and the people around you, then you've got something going. There's a sense here of healing energy and creative energy. But first and foremost, the element of using meditation to expand your intuition, to get messages from that spirit that you carry within. It will guide you. It will help you to move in whatever direction you want to. It helps you to enrich your own reality. And if you pay attention and you listen to the messages that the spirit within you is sending you through dreams, through daydreams, through synchronicities and coincidences, then you've got magic happening in your life. But developing your intuitive gifts is work. It's meditation. It's not just sitting and meditating for 5 minutes and saying, that's it, I don't need to do it for another week. It's an ongoing practice. It's putting yourself into a state where you can listen and hear what spirit within is trying to tell you. It's something that will come after you practice it. You know, nobody can sit down and play Beethoven's concertos or symphonies. You can't do it. But if you practice, if you work at it long enough, you'll be able to come close to replicating it. And you know, while everyone is intuitive by nature of their being a human being with a spirit within them, in order for that spirit to be able to utilize the gifts that the human body has, that would be the consciousness, the higher consciousness, you have to create a link to that part of you. And not everybody wants to do it. Not everybody wants to put the work into it. I've been in this field for over 50 years, and I'm still working at it. And so it's not something that comes as easily as you would like. Some of it will come easily, and the harder you work at it, the more you can go beyond it. Lots of people work at being psychic, and then they stop at being psychic. And that's merely one step on the whole process of the development of the spirit within, the development of being able to utilize your energetics to help other qualities within you to develop, to go beyond the physical and to move into a higher consciousness level, communicating with the spirit that you carry within, then going beyond that to connecting to the divine source of all creation. So if you just want to be psychic, you can go to one level. If you want to keep going, that staircase never ends within a lifetime. But it takes practice. It takes work. It takes study. You'll have to, read some books, watch some YouTubes, practice things, find something that is comfortable for you and do it on a regular basis. Qigong is a wonderful practice. It's movement, so you don't have to sit still. Empty-headed meditation, another great thing to do. Not as easy as it sounds. Utilizing solfeggio music to take you into another zone consciously. There are a lot of practices that expand you, and I'm hitting different things that will expand consciousness, so your consciousness can tell you which direction you need to move in. We all have to live in a physical reality. We all have to have a life. We all have to wear clothes, have a roof over our heads, and eat food. So you have to earn a living. And having an anchor of a physical reality is important. And on top of that, you do the spiritual work, because you have to take care of the body first. If your body fails you, your spirit will just, transition and go to another avatar. So you have to keep a balance here. And it does feel as though you have the ability to go in many different directions. I can tell you for sure, one of the most important fuels for a spiritual pathway is creativity. And no matter what form you want to take, whether it's drawing or painting or gardening or taking engines apart and putting them back together, or volunteering, whatever you do of a creative nature is what fuels the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey will take care of itself so long as you're fueling it. Every now and then I have found that I have assumed I knew more than the spirit within me, and have basically said, I got this, I'll take it from here. Those are the times that I screwed up the most. I now really wait for a call. I wait for a door to open. I build the creative energy inside of me, and I have the fuel ready for when the opening comes. And when the opening comes, everything flows beautifully. And sometimes, I will complain, I've waited a long time. What's your problem? And usually the answer comes back, your impatience. But and it's true. So it's you've got a lot of the abilities, you have a lot of the potential. It's a matter of fueling it with creativity, with meditation, with learning about the aspects, not necessarily the directions, because I will tell you flat out, I never expected to be where I am today. And if somebody had told me I would be a minister and podcasting and doing all of this, I would have told them they were crazy. So try not to figure out where you think you belong. Allow the universe to take you and guide you there. That's great advice. I have yet to take it myself, but it's great advice. Hope that helps you. It's an exciting place to be, but it's confusing and discouraging sometimes. But it all works out in the end. Or so they tell me. No, it does. It does. You get rewarded along the way for sure. Okay, Greg.
All right. Well, we're caught up with requests. We got a little feedback. Ellen said the plans I'm making would be implemented early this next year.
Okay.
And what you said ties in with the timing of things I have in mind. And then Nancy, thank you. Said you always give me great insight. I'm used to people thinking I'm crazy. And then Cindy sent you a love reaction.
Well, it is being spiritual is a journey. It's not it's not going to church and sitting in a pew. Being spiritual is understanding that you carry inside of you a spirit that is a part of the divine, and it's a time. It's sort of like, okay, so you have a spirit of the divine, a part of the divine inside of you. What do you do with it? It's not, you can't say I'm spiritual and then not live a spiritual life. And the spiritual life would be one that helps others, one that is always looking to lend a hand, one who is trying to learn to find ways to utilize their talents, more effectively. It's being spiritual is understanding that we are a family, this family of man, and that we treat others in our family with the same consideration we want to be treated with. And it's doing fun things that you don't get credit for. At Christmas time, every now and then, I will be behind somebody either in the grocery store or in a store, and the person ahead of me, you can tell, is having trouble paying for what they're getting. And those are the moments that I just love, because I will step in and say, it's okay, I'll cover this. And the person doesn't have to know who I am. I cover their bill and we go our separate ways. And I know that I did something really good and really nice. And it makes me feel so good. And hopefully that person will pay it forward and remember that it happened to them and do it, I don't get behind the biggest cart in the line, obviously, but it usually happens when you see somebody having trouble, stepping in and paying for something for somebody else, or seeing somebody who's struggling with something and being able to say, do you need a little help? Whether it's loading groceries into the car or, I was at the post office a while back, and this woman was trying to peel something off of something, and she had the longest fingernails I've ever seen. And she was having trouble, and I looked and I said, could you use a little help? And, she looked at me and she said, yes. And I peeled it for her, and I said, they're beautiful, but they aren't very functional, are they? and it was fun. You make a friend, not for life, but for the moment. And I think that being spiritual opens you up to the greatest potential of experiencing love and light and laughter within your reality. And it's a shame if we don't open ourselves up to that, because it's an amazing life we have here on this planet. We're in the physical. Once our spirit leaves, it goes into the etheric. It has no form. It has no way of tapping into what a physical touch is, to what, holding someone's hand is, or helping somebody out is. We have no way of pulling that memory up, so that once in the physical, we have the thrill of being able to touch each other, of helping each other, of calling each other on the phone or not. But it's a whole new reality. And being in physical is just one part of our spiritual evolution within the journey we're in now, because there's no guarantee you're coming back to the earth plane. You could go to another dimension. You could go to another planet. You just don't know where next you're going to land. I do believe there is a matter of choice here and there, but for the most part, we chose to be in the physical, and we chose to be on the earth plane for lots of different reasons. And we put ourselves into positions where we would experience positive and negative things. And it's how we deal with those positive and negative things that adds to the quality of the spirit that we carry within. So if you have a lot of garbage happening in your life, if a lot of things are coming your way and you're having to really juggle like crazy and wonder, why me, feel good, because to be honest with you, that means that you are at a point in time where you have evolved to be able to do the juggling, to move in the, to help to deal with whatever is coming your way, to grow beyond whatever that difficulty is. And so I look upon crises and difficulties as though it's a challenge. I've cruised along not being challenged for so long that, it's time you got back to work. It's time you learned how to stretch beyond. And that's what happens when Gregg and I were notified that Blog Talk Radio was going out of business, I panicked because I knew how to do Blog Talk Radio really well, and I didn't know where we were going to go next. And so he found the platform, and he found places where the shows could go, and he happily had the technology to be able to move all of the shows. But I hadn't learned anything in 15, 16 years as far as technology went. I was very comfortable with being in total control. And then Spirit pointed out to me that I hadn't learned anything in quite a while. Didn't I think it was time? And apparently it was. Now, I'm still messing up, which is good, because that means I won't have to move again for quite a while. But it does mean that even those of us who are old and have been in the field for a very long time are still growing, are still learning, are still stretching, are still trying to find ways to deal with things that hit us and find good creative ways to deal with things that are uncomfortable. It's a wonderful thing when you have a lot of things going wrong in your life. Doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means that you're being challenged to grow. And if you're being challenged to grow, it means that you've accomplished something. Kind of would be nice if we got a report card now and then, wouldn't it? But I don't think that's actually going to be happening. But I do know that those of you that tune into reading shows are looking for advice, are looking for insight, and that's why we're here. And I think Gregg and I scheduled ourselves I didn't write it down. Gregg, did you?
For the next shows?
Yeah.
I didn't write it down either, but 2 weeks from today, I believe. So it'll be every 2 weeks.
No, it's the second and fourth Thursday of the month.
Okay, I can pull that up. And while I'm doing that, I'll bring up some feedback.
Okay.
Free to be me. So thank you, Barbara. I've always felt empowered by my creativity. You are right in that I feel like I have different abilities, but I don't know which ones to focus on. But I definitely have much more to learn. And Cindy also came back and said, yes, giving is always receiving. I ran a charity for kids and elderly, but I did it secretly. And then she said, I also panicked when Blog Talk went down. I'm not a techie person.
I should get you in touch with Gregg.
Yeah, I can help you out with that.
Yeah, no, it was a panic for sure.
So July the second Thursday is the 10th, and the fourth is the 24th. So the 10th and the 24th.
We will definitely be back then, and hopefully, bringing great insight and wisdom. I think what happens with situations like doing readings on the air and things like that, it's great practice for me because while I do personal readings, having to click into somebody and then somebody else and then somebody else, it's great practice. And you can't exactly go into the grocery store, set up a card table and say, I'll just give everybody a reading and not be arrested. So it gives me an opportunity to play with my skills, my talents, and whatever. And it's been a lot of fun doing these shows because, of course, I'm able to use the deck that I developed that I absolutely adore. I felt when I started reading or doing readings, I was looking for a tool to use because doing psychic fairs and things like that, you really need to have a tool of some sort. And what I started out with was chalk, pastels, and picking colors and just literally scribbling. And what came out of the scribbles from the person was always accurate and was always, applicable to whoever I was reading. And I remember coming home from a psychic fair once, and I said to my mother, there has to be a cleaner way to do this, because this is, I'm filthy at the end of 6-8 hours. And she said, well, you've always been fascinated with gemstones and stones. Why don't you utilize them? And I had the card of a person that had been at that fair, and she was selling stones, crystals, rocks, and I called her up and I said, she lived close by, and I said, do you have a nice assortment of stones that are rough and smooth and that would represent the 12 chakras? And she said, oh, sure, come on over. And I went over and I picked out stones, three for each chakra, both in the rough stones and the rounded ones, the smoothed ones. And so the next psychic fair, I had people reach in and get a handful and drop the stones on the table, and the reading came from the chakra colors and the where the stones lay in where they lay respectively with each other. And so I've always been looking for different ways to different modalities to utilize with utilizing my ability to tap in and read people. And at one party, somebody crumpled a napkin and threw it on the table and said, read that. And I was able to, because it's a matter of you're touching into someone else's energy, and you're able to take whatever insights, images, whatever you draw from them. I use the cards when we do these readings because it's a way for me to focus on your energy. I get your name and I throw the cards out and I draw from that. But any good reader can read anything. There are those that read tea leaves. There are those that, I hate tea, so I've never gotten into tea reading. But you can use anything to read someone's energy if you're trained and gifted enough. And the training is not a teacher telling you how to do it. It's you taking the opportunity to work with your own energy and develop what has meaning for you. And that's where you go. You train yourself. You can't be taught to be psychic. It's practice and learning your own cues. I have one of the cards in the deck reminds me of books. And when I see it fall in a certain place, I will say to people, you're going to be studying. I see a lot of books here. And then I realize that I'm an antique too. So that what I'm really looking at is the element of learning, and the fact that most people are learning digitally these days. Books are going out of style. And so it's a matter of, I go by what I have learned is appropriate for my skills, whatever they are. It's why people who do dream interpretation really suggest that people make their own dream dictionary, so that they know that when they see this, it means this. When they see that, it means that. And I've seen many people, for instance, losing teeth. For me, a symbol of losing teeth is losing teeth, and I don't want to do that. But for many, it's losing friends or losing a relationship or losing something else. So it all depends on what you believe in and what you have utilized, what it means in your interpretation, what feels right for you. So it's a really exciting time to be able to develop your talents and your skills without being worried about being burned at the stake or dunked in a pond to see if you drown or whatever. Doesn't mean you're you're strange. It just means that you're developing a skill that there isn't a school for, and the best school and the best teacher is yourself. Certainly reading books on philosophy help, but the reality is it's what you teach yourself that becomes your greatest gift. You are your best teacher. The spirit that you carry within you is a fully developed seed of the infinite, the divine that created everything. You have a direct link to that power if you work your way through the different levels that your spirit has to go through to get there. Everybody probably in this field has had what I would call a mountaintop experience, a time when time stood still and magic happened and you were just one with the universe. That happens. And the more frequently you work on training yourself to accept and embrace the talents and skills that you carry within, the closer you get. Are you ever going to be able to fly? Maybe. Who was it? It was Buddha, I think, the Buddha that was able to translocate, to go from one side of the river to the other side of the river when nobody was looking. Human beings have been able to do unbelievable magic, but it's only because they worked on themselves, not the development of their skills, but on themselves and getting themselves to embracing a more spiritual aspect of life. And that doesn't mean that you put a white sheet on and go to the mountaintop. It doesn't mean that you go out into the outback and just live with nature. A lot of sand. It means you practice as you can within you have a physical reality, you have responsibility for this lifetime. And it's that physical responsibility that will keep you grounded. And you have to be grounded because the spirit can fly, but the body is going to have a hard time. So, it's, I didn't intend to lecture here, Greg. Is there anybody else that wants to know something?
Well, yeah, I put a little banner together in case there's anybody new that would like a reading. I don't have any more in the comments at the moment, so we can kind of give everyone a last chance. I figured I'd put it up there in a banner in case they just came in. We do have some, a bunch of people still alive. But they're not asking for a reading.
Well, this happened when I did a spiritual development group. I thought everybody would be able to share, and it turned out that nobody shared but me. So I don't want to monopolize the conversation here. You've had experience of a spiritual nature too. So you've certainly grown in ways that you probably hadn't expected 20 years ago. If 20 years ago somebody told you you would be podcasting with a psychic, wouldn't you have thought it was strange?
Definitely not. I would not have anticipated that at all. But working with you, I have grown for sure, and I've learned a lot. There's no doubt about that.
Well, just here, while we have the opportunity, I've told people that I utilize the cosmic deck of initiation. That the cards look like this. And once every week, Gregg takes one of the cards and he puts it up on the website and on YouTube so people can see what they are. It's not a deck that is meant to be tarot. It's a spiritual enlightenment thing. And we have republished the cards so that they are available out there, and you can get them on the website that's Cosmic Deck of Initiation. The handbook that goes with them is also on that particular website. And my favorite, which I absolutely adore, is Gregg was able to help me create an app for the phone that has the cards on it with all of the meanings to all of the cards. and you're able to do your own reading. And the cool thing is, I recorded all the meanings of all of the cards, so that if you get the app, you can hear me reading the meaning of the card that you have drawn and how you can apply it to your life. And it's not expensive, and the cards look magnificent in the app. And it's a lot of fun. You can actually get the app. You can draw a card, and you can hear me read to you the meaning of the card and how to apply it to your life. So while I love creating the cards, and I kind of liked writing the book, the handbook that goes along with it, what gives me the greatest joy is having all of that in an app on my telephone. So if I have a question, or if I'm working on something and I need a little insight, I can take the app, I can open the app up and do a 1-card pull, and have the deck there that can give me the information. And so, how many people do we have now? 9, about 12 people here. Okay.
There are nine on live right now.
Okay, so if any of you, I happen to have free tokens for the app, and I think I have 8 of them that I can still give away. So if you'd like to, you don't have to buy it. It's free, and I can send you the token. So if you would like to have one of the tokens, go to my website and sign up to join the circle, and ask for, there's a place where you can say, I would like a token, and I'll send you the token, and you can get the app. I would love for people to try it and give me feedback, because I think it's the best thing we've done. I mean, I love the cards, and I get great pleasure out of reading them. But the app is, I don't know, do you use it at all, Gregg?
I do use it. I often will do a two-card draw, like for yes or no, if I have a question. And like you said, doing the card of the week, putting the video together, it's been incredibly timely. We just went through the spiritual laws. We did the astrological cards, and we just went through the spiritual laws. And it just seems like every week because I'm listening to make sure all the captions are correct. So I'm really listening to every word, and it's been like exactly what I needed to hear. So I love it. And the app is great. It's called Deckable. If you go to cosmicdeckofinitiation.com, that's where you can find the link.
And if they join the circle on the website, they will get they can if they join the circle, there's a place where they can put a message in, and they just say, please send me a token, and I'd be happy to.
BarbaraDeLong.com to this website, right?
Yeah. And the only thing I ask is, if you do get one, if you do use the token and get one, I'd like feedback, because there's several people that have them, but there's so many decks of cards out there. There are so many apps out there. There's so many things out there that it's I think it's unusual. It's an unusual deck of cards, but it has, when they first came out, it was the second only circular deck published, and now, of course, they're hexagon shaped, and I don't know how many hexagon decks there are, but not that many. So it's an unusual deck. It's lots of fun, and I think that it would be, if you're interested, if you want a token, I do have, I think, 8 of them left, and I would be happy to share them with you. So Gregg, I think that we're going to call it an evening then.
Okay. Great show.
It was a great show, and thank you everybody for all your questions And we will see you the second Tuesday in July. Have a great 4th, everybody.